And welcome in to the Backstage Pass here, of course, for a Thursday, our final show of the week. Actually, we're going to take some time off coming up tomorrow for a nice weekend with the family, and back next week with some good shows here, presented by our good friends over at Toir Guitars. Check them out, toirguitars.us for your custom-made guitar, and also Bangtail Whiskey, bangtail.com, where you can download that Easy Liquor app and get it sent right to your door, and really enjoy your weekend by having a few good naps this weekend from Bangtail Whiskey. Pleased to welcome back in here. We're just, like I said, on a roll here. Thanks to Philip Michael Parsons for leading us off today. A legend in country music. You know her, you love her from the Opry. She's been around a long time. Show favorite, Miss Jeannie Seely, back here on the show. Miss Jeannie, how you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much. It's great to be back with you.
Well, good to be back with you too. And definitely, we're still trying to get to Nashville. Once all this COVID stuff is over, hopefully in 22, we can get there to finally meet you in person and enjoy that Grand Ole Opry, which has been
got to have you come visit backstage with us. My dressing room door is always open.
Well, looking forward to hopefully making that happen next summer here. But you guys you stayed busy. I've seen a lot of artists stay busy through this whole quarantine period, and now that some states are opening back up, we're seeing people get vaccinated, and which I think is a good thing. It's kind of a clear conscience a little bit. I got to go to my first live show and do some stuff out there last weekend over at the Easter holiday. But let me ask you this, how, I guess shortly after all this madness kind of crept in on us, this COVID stuff, how did you keep busy through this past year, knowing that these times were very uncertain?
Well, thank goodness for social media and folks like you. We've been able to do some great promotion on this album. We had just released it, everything shuts down, and we were kind of like, what do we do now? So we're able to promote it. We just have to go about it a different way. Of course, I miss being out there on the road where you can really showcase the whole project. But this is working, and I'm actually not minding staying home too bad, to be honest with you.
I got to ask you, in doing that, did you kind of find yourself a great album? Again, American Classic is out there across all the digital platforms. So many great songs we're going to get into. But did you find yourself kind of writing more or doing some co-writes during this quarantine?
Well, I've taken it in stages. The very first thing I did with the shutdown is try to figure out what is happening and say, okay, let's start doing some home projects that you've let go all the time. You didn't have time to do any of it. So we caught up with some of that stuff and the business end of it too. And the office kind of got that reorganized. And then with the promotion stuff, I'm learning more about social media. I've almost been going to school trying to. This has been good for me to have this time to learn. Mm-hmm. And so we've been working on that. And now I'm at the next stage of it where I have gotten back into writing and just really excited about my mind thinking that way now. I had never done a writer appointment in all the years of songwriting. I'd never done that. So a year or so ago when Bobby Tomberlin and Aaron Enderlin encouraged me to write with them, said, you can't be intimidated with us. If we don't think of anything, we just forget it. We go eat lunch or something. And that's when we wrote Like I Could, that Rhonda Vincent took to #1. So that kind of has spurred the interest to get back to writing. And Rhonda and I actually got together in person Monday afternoon and got Aaron on the phone, and we finished a song we'd been working on.
Before I break down this album, Love It, American Classic, I want to go back to 2017. One of my favorites here, and I know we talk about it on the show, written in song, because anyone who knows what love is, I kind of wanted to get a little bit of that background story. And written in song, y'all did a really good job with the production and the instrumentation and just everything with that album. What was your kind of your take on the whole process? Beautiful album. Well done.
Well, thank you so much. Since I produced that too, I really appreciate that. Yeah, that came about because Eddie Stubbs kept talking to me about it. He said, you've written so many songs that other artists have done. You've never recorded them yourself. You need to do a whole album of it. So that kind of planted the first seed. And then I was talking to Kenny Sears with the Time Jumpers, that plays fiddle with me also, about, I said, you guys up for going back in the studio, think about doing some, if I can find some good songs, we may go back and record. And Kenny said, find some songs. Why don't you look in your closet? So between Eddie and Kenny Sears, that kind of planted the seed, and we went to work doing some research. You mentioned Anyone Who Knows What Love Is. I had to Google that song to kind of refresh my memory. It was written so very long ago. And when I did, I was astounded at how many people had recorded this song that I didn't even know about. So naturally, I had to reach out to some publishing companies here and remind them I was still here.
I love that. And then two more that really caught my attention off there, and I've saved on a good playlist out there, which are fun to make. Life of a Rodeo Cowboy. Love that one. Let's break that one down a little bit, because that was a good one to put on that record.
Well, that song actually was inspired by my nephew, Shane Seely, who's grew up out in Nevada. He and a couple of his buddies had come back to visit. And this was while Hank and I were still married and living at the farm. And a couple of days later, we were having lunch at a restaurant there, and Shane and boys came by and said, well, we're going to head out. And I'm like, well, you're not having a good time? I thought you were going to stay a while. And he said, oh, it's been great being with you, but we heard they were riding bulls down in Mesquite. And you know how it is when you're a rodeo cowboy. And I'm like, I hugged him goodbye and grabbed a napkin and started writing. Really has been nice being with you. I'm afraid I got to leave, And then I had that car accident in 1977. And after I got out of the hospital and was home recuperating, Merle Haggard came into Nashville, and he called, and he wanted my friend who was helping take care of me said, Haggard's on the phone. He's in town. He said he wanted to come out and see you. And I said, tell him I really appreciate it, but I really don't want to see him right now, because, the whole left side of my face had to be rebuilt, and it still felt strange to me. She came back and he said he didn't care whether you wanted to see him or not. He wanted to see you, and he's coming. So he came out and he asked me, have you written anything lately? And so I played him that, and also a ballad I had written called My Love for You. So Merle had the first record on it. Chris Ledoux recorded it later. And most recently, Mo Bandy just put it in an album. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I remember talking to Mo just last fall when he came on the program here, and we were talking about the latest release there. I think it was October of last year, when things were going a little bit kind of haywire, but we had him on, just great conversation, and definitely we did talk about that song, no doubt.
Well, the interesting thing to me is, for years I didn't sing the song because it's written for a male. Then one day it just hit me. I said, all you have to do is say, he said. And before it, now you're just telling somebody what he said. It has been nice. So female can sing it. So
I love it too. And the other one, I tell you, I love off. There's so many great ones, but Who Needs You was another beautiful song that I had to touch on there with you, get off the album, written in song. Talk about that one a little bit. I love that piece of work.
It is a piece of work.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't told that. That's a song that I wrote back in the early 80s. And when I first wrote it, I just sang it at parties, we'd all be gathered somewhere and pass the guitar around. And then I just, I thought one night at the Opry, I thought, I'm just going to sing it and see what happens. They were paying so little attention to me in the 80s. They didn't even pay attention to the lyrics, But then I decided to go ahead and put it on the record. It is my most requested song at the Opry now. It is just dangerous, if you will, enough to be tantalizing to some people. And overall, it is just fun. And we need more fun. We need more laughter and not take everything so serious.
I've really enjoyed watching since it ever came back. I know it started with like 500 people and went to 1,000. All these great Opry performances. You've been a part of some of these since it came out. Just I guess last fall when they started easing back into it with the fans coming back. What's kind of been your thoughts of the people that have bought the tickets and showed up, whether it's 500 or 75 or 1,000? You've been a part of some of these. I've seen Terry Clark on it, Dierks Bentley. Some of the top Nashville artists just take it and run with it. And I think the shows have been very good on a Saturday night.
They have been very good. And as far as what I feel about the fans that have done this, I am just so grateful. I'm so thankful that they care that much and they're willing to run a risk and come and support us. The very first night when we had to shut down, the first thing I did when I heard, I went exactly straight to the computer and texted the president of the company, or emailed him rather, and said, please promise me you'll let us do a broadcast. Don't let us lose this 95-year record, because we can do this. And several people, it's, well, you can't do a show without an audience. I'm like, we've got an audience all over the world. We just won't be able to see them in person, but our audience is still out there, and they need us as badly as we need them. And I truly believe that. And I hear so many say, you were the one consistent we had. We knew we could count on the Grand Ole Opry.
It's a beautiful place. Can't wait to hopefully 22 is the magic year. I said 21, but now 22 is going to be there. And I'm still, that invitation I know is still there. I can't wait to get backstage with you, hopefully in the summer of 22, if we get there in June around the CMA Fest. I'm looking forward to just sitting back, not working, and hearing you sing, or in that lineup for the night, whoever's there. We're looking forward to being there with the family. And I got a brand new daughter to show off. She just turned 1 last Friday. So she'll be 2 or a little over 2 by the time we get there, hopefully in
She'll be old enough to have her own opinions by 2 and let you know them.
And pointing that finger too, or doing that little type thing, which she's doing now. American Classic. Enough said right there. It's what it is. An American Classic with so many great tracks on it. Break this one down, because this is 13 great songs, something for everybody on there, no doubt. Love everything about it. Not a Dry Eye in the House is, oh my God, it gives you goosebumps up your arm and down your spine when you listen to it. One of my favorites, Old Flames, That's How I Roll. And of course, Don't Touch Me, that's out there. Great piece of work. You had your hand in this again. And I know you guys are very proud of this.
We are very proud of it. I'm proud to start with that Don Cusick, who is such a respected music business professor at Belmont University, would be interested in doing a project with me. And he approached me on it. He had called me and said, I'm going to be out at the Opry. Would you have a few minutes? I'd like to talk to you about something. So I said, sure, just meet me in my dressing room when I get off stage. I just thought he'd probably want me to speak to his students or talk to them or something like that. I had no idea. So I was really thrilled when I heard that he was interested in doing a project. And it was interesting working with Don, because I'd been producing my own stuff for so long, and to hear someone else's perspective of what they thought I could do was very interesting to me. And then to try to meet that challenge. One of the challenges on it too was working with Ray Stevens. Oh, yeah. Ray came in to Don and he said, Buddy Calb, his friend, found this song and you've got to do it with Jeannie Seely. And Don said, we're all done recording, Ray. And he said, no, you don't understand. You've got to do this song with Jeannie Seely. And Don said, you don't understand. We have spent all the money Curb is going to let us spend. And Ray said, I have my own studio. And he said, I'm going to find out if she likes it. I'm going to find out what key she does it in. I'll do it. So he did. He went in the studio. Ray is playing all of the instruments except the steel guitar and the lead guitar, and he's singing all the vocals. So he does all of this, and then he calls me to come into the studio. First of all, I am a huge Ray Stevens fan. I am totally in awe of the man's talent. I mean, who isn't? So I'm out there thinking, Ray Stevens is actually producing me singing this. And I'm like, oh, wow. But there was one line, and he asked me to do it a couple of different times. And I was trying to figure out what he was hearing, what I was doing wrong. And it's not wrong. It's just the interpretation. And finally he said, that'll work. And I'm like, no, I don't want it to just work. I want to try to get as close as I can to what you're hearing. So he gave me 2 or 3 more passes and all. And finally he said, that's it. I remember I was so thrilled to think that I could follow his direction. That's sometimes hard to do. That was one of the big thrills of working with everybody on. Of course, the very first thing, you're trying to choose who to have as guest when you live in Nashville. And there's so much incredible talent at your fingertips, and most all of them friends. So I started with my really close friends and my Opry family. Number one, Bill Anderson.
It's a great record, and I know this had to be a lot of fun because one of the ones I bought the whole album, saved it on the playlist that I always do out there too. But yourself and Lori Morgan and Vince Gill on a track there, That's How I Roll, and to put all that together, your talent with the explosive talent of the other 2 great Hall of Famers and country icons such as yourself. I mean, that song in a nutshell had to be just fun to do with those 2 greats, right?
Well, yeah, Tim Atwood, who was the staff piano player with the Grand Ole Opry for so many years, had written this song. And Tim and I do a lot of things, just us with the baby grand, and he was singing it. And I just such a fun, feel-good song. And I always saw the audience reaction. So I decided to do that. And then actually, Tim's wife was the one that said, excuse me, she said, the only one I can think rowdy enough to keep up with you, Seely, would be Morgan. And I'm like, bingo. So I called Lori, and she said, heck yeah. And I said, well, can I send it to you? Make sure you like the song. She said, I don't care. Send it. I want to do it. We had so much fun. And Vince, I wasn't happy with the guitar lick. I didn't think it was raucous enough, if you will. And so Don called Vince and said, would you be on it? Because he was going to, he tried to sing on one of the other things, and it just wasn't blending right. And of course, I sing in Vince's key or a little bit lower. But anyway, so Don said, well, how do you feel about putting some guitar on this for us? Because you'll play what she wants. And so that's what he did. The song that he was going to try to sing harmony is All Through Crying Over You. And when it didn't work for Vince, he said, you need Rhonda on it. Well, I wanted Rhonda on something, so that was just perfect.
Beautiful songs out there. Again, it's an American classic from the great Jeannie Seely, out there across all the digital platforms, wherever you buy or purchase music. We'll get into a quick break. Got to get in a word for Toir Guitars here. We'll come back and talk about that very song that I love and gives me goosebumps. Not a Dry Eye in the House, featuring the great Willie Nelson. So quick break here with Miss Jeannie. We'll come right back. Here's a word from Toir Guitars.
If you're looking for one of the most beautiful and playable custom acoustics on the planet, look no further than Ed Rice at Toir Guitars. Ed is a true artist, transforming exotic woods into magnificent, sweet-sounding instruments. Go to toirguitars.us, that's TOIRGUITARS.us, and contact Ed today.
And I have seen those guitars, Miss Jeannie, and they are fine craftsmanship. They're beautiful, and my goodness, he's made them for Ali Colleen and for just a great number of great artists out there. And yeah, I always say the singing is sold separately. I'm not gonna. That's how it is. But you can definitely get your guitar and learn to play the chords, and I guess teach yourself a little bit of everything. But the sweet tone comes from the wood, and they do provide the pictures from start to finish. Again, thanks to Toir Guitars and also Bangtail Whiskey. Back here with Miss Jeannie Seely here. So let's talk about this, because I know Willie's had this guitar for a lot of years and he won't let it go. And he's still he's still doing his thing out there. Where did the concept of this come up? I think this song takes people on a beautiful journey of just you feel it. I mean, not a dry eye in the house. And again, legendary Willie Nelson. Speechless almost when I mentioned you and him in the same sentence.
Well, I'm so proud of that. First of all, I love the song. Dallas Wayne wrote the song. And the odd thing was choosing all these guests to be on it. And one night I realized and told my husband, I said, I cannot believe this. I'm on Willie's Roadhouse and forgot to ask Willie if he'd like to be a guest. So I went immediately to the phone and called Buddy Cannon. Buddy said, there's no question. I know Willie will want to do it. So he said, but we'll call him. So anyway, he said, do you know what you want him to do? And I told him, he said, he already knows this song. So that made it even better. What I absolutely love too, first of all, I didn't ask him to play guitar on it. So when they sent it back to me and I heard that, I was thrilled all over again. And I should have given Trigger credits on the album, and I think I missed that. But Dallas Wayne told me, he said, I love the reading y'all did on this because it sounds like an intimate conversation between two old friends. And I guess we are. I met Willie in 1963.
And that's what a beautiful way to describe that was. Beautiful conversation between two great Hall of Famers and two great friends. Also, Waylon Payne, I know, was on the album too, The Old Flames, Can't Hold a Candle to You. I mean, again, that was track 9 on it too, and I've almost got it memorized too, which is a good thing. But Waylon Payne, another just legend in the industry. That another fun one just to include on it, right, on the album.
He's such an incredible talent in so many directions. Well, one of the things Don Cusick said, he said, I want such a variety of things in here. He said, I want to have some talking points. And so I thought this would be great. A backstory on this: years ago when I was working on opening some shows for Willie, Jody Payne, Waylon's father, played guitar for Willie for 35 years. During those shows, Jody did an album, and he asked me to do a duet with him on this song. And so many nights I stood looking across the microphone at Jody singing with him on this. Waylon was on the Opry one night. He asked me if I would come on and do it with him, and I did. And I listened to the playback later and said, you know, there's a talking point. His mother was Sammy Smith, who was my friend. And I remember when Waylon was born and thinking, Sammy, what are you going to do with this baby? How are you going to work like you are? But anyway, a very talented young man, and I'm very proud of that cut. And it is uncanny to look across the microphone singing with him.
It's a beautiful track there too. And you mentioned, I think we had talked about Ray Stevens and yourself with that one. Dance Tonight was another one that was fun on there just to hear and to play to at the same time. Again, you can listen to it several times through. That's how good this album is from Jeannie and just the cast of great musicians that you had on it too at the same time. But Dance Tonight, that's another just fun thing. You had Ray Stevens, you're right. Check that box. We got a hit.
That was Don Cusick's idea. And when he said, I'm thinking about we should do this, I'm like, why would I do this? I could not. Here's where I learned so much from Don. He said, Well, don't think about how he did it. Think about how we'll do it and how it's just going to come off as fun. And it's country music, and it did come off as fun. We had so much fun doing it. Ray came in, he said, "What do you want me to sing?" And I said, "Wherever you think you should. I mean, you know better than I do." I said, "I do have one request though. Will you do the little yodel line? Because my yodel's broke." So he did that part. Another song that Don Cusick wrote that's become very interesting from this, The Peaceful Waters.
Yep.
I've had so many people already saying this just has such a calming effect for me. I love to listen to this. And somebody said this was a perfect way to close your album, because when I'm finished doing everything, I like to sit down. I like to listen to this song. It's just peaceful. And I've had several people say they've played it at funerals, which, you know, as sad as that is, it's also very heartwarming to know that brings that peace to people. So I appreciate that too.
Yep, it sure does. And the closing chapter on something that's tough to get through in life, but that will definitely, as much peace as it provides, is such another great song. And you lead off with another, just I'm going to use that word humdinger because we can use that here on the show. So far, so good. With the Whites, I mean, Lord, I would say there's so much on this for everybody there, but so far, so good is just a great way to lead off a record.
Yeah, I love Western swing. Anybody that's seen or heard me perform knows that, and I do that a lot at the Opry. And I held on to that song for 7 or 8 years. Penn Pennington gave me a copy of it years ago, and just all of a sudden, this seemed like the right time to do it. He wrote it with Mitch Ballard. So I called him. I said, "I'm having a little trouble negotiating because it changes keys. It's kind of unusual there." But Penn helped me work through that, so I was comfortable. The Whites were just a natural for this, being from Texas and being swing singers. And I asked them if they would do, like, I love to hear this a unison line and then split into that wonderful harmony. And it almost, if you listen to that, they did that for me, and it almost makes it feel like the old 40s swing stuff that, of course, as a child, I grew up here. And of course, they're my Opry sisters, and I adore both of them on top of being such incredible singers.
That's a great album, an American classic, just like her. It's out there right now for purchase, digital platforms or wherever you guys stream. All right, so it's part of the show. I get to have a little fun with you too. We changed up some of these questions on rapid fire, so I get to put this out here, and we'll see kind of where it goes, and you get to no right or wrong answers. You love doing this. All right, so the first one I'm gonna lead off with: any good new series or kind of TV shows that you guys have caught up on during some of the downtime? What have you gotten into?
My marriage would not last if we didn't watch Blue Bloods and every rerun of Gunsmoke. Any John Wayne. I got married again 11 years ago, and I have not touched the remote since. It was somewhere written in the marriage vows. I didn't notice it. He's a lawyer, so we're going with it.
We're going with it. There you go. Don't touch that remote. All right, so I love this one too because everybody loves the American classic or the great food pizza out there. It's one of my weaknesses. I'm ordering some tonight. But let's say Miss Jeannie's ordering a pizza. I can't have any. It's just for Miss Jeannie. Nobody can have any. What toppings are going on it? And I have to pull my hand back a little bit too. You might slap it and just say, "No, Brandon, you can't have any a pizza. This is my pizza." What's Jeannie choosing for her toppings?
I order the one they call the works.
The word.
I want it all, baby.
Throw it on there, which is good there. I love that. That's good stuff. All right. Any kind of vacations? I know people are saying some states are opening up and, we'll get some leisure time and we'll get to go to the beach in Florida or this and that or whatever. We don't have to work. Is there a vacation in the works for you guys? And if so, where are y'all going?
We have some friends that have a home on Emerald Isle, North Carolina. And we did make a quick trip over there and visit with them for a few days. So we have plans to go back there. It's just one of my favorite places to be and couples to be with. We're also planning a trip that we had planned over 3 years ago, and then my husband got sick and we couldn't go. So he's doing great now. So we're planning a trip. We're going to fly to Phoenix, rent an SUV, go up, take the train, go through Sedona, and then take the train up to the Grand Canyon, and then go from there to Las Vegas, and then fly home from there. My brother Bernie and his wife are out there in Arizona, so we'll catch up with them somewhere along the way. And he's my only sibling I got left now, so we're going to spend as much time, and we're looking forward to that trip.
I'm going west in July, late July, for the Sedona, the Camelback, the Arizona. Never been out there, so I'm driving it with the family. We're going to take a couple of weeks to take it all in and just enjoy Phoenix.
Yeah.
So,
it's calling us.
It is, no doubt. It is, really is. All right, so I love this one. Favorite type, if you like the sweets, what are you getting into now, or favorite type of candy?
Oh, chocolate. Anything chocolate and caramel. But I'm telling you, that was the one thing with this pandemic and not having to get into stage costumes. It can get away from you really, really quick. And so I've been trying to lock down and say, our way of life, we go, from Halloween candy right into Thanksgiving desserts, right into Christmas candy, and you don't get rid of it until you got Valentine's, and then into Easter. I'm like, oh my word. But, I do kind of try to do low carb as much as possible. So I find out that the Atkins treats they get you through anyway.
Yeah, I went to my brother's restaurant last week for the live shows. We were promoting a couple of Texas artists, and he actually had gotten back to the pizza thing, but he got a pizza on a keto crust. And I was a little bit kind of cauliflower. I'm like, but it was actually a thin crust, but it was pretty good. And I tried several toppings, and it was very light. And so I'm doing thin crust tonight when I order it.
Well, that keto bread is really good. It's very, very, and it makes excellent toast. So, yeah, we can do it. I think, all kidding aside, about gaining weight and all, but I care what's going on in my body on the inside as much as I do the outside anymore. I think we all, and if nothing else we've learned from this pandemic is washing your hands and taking extra precautions everywhere. I never gave a thought, Brandon, to pumping gas, getting back in the car and eating a snack.
I didn't either.
How dumb is that? No wonder I had sore throats and colds, So I think that's another thing. It's made us all aware, and I think it's made us all aware that we need to improve our immune systems to stay healthy. And that part has been a good thing. So we're good here.
I've dropped the soda count down to probably like 2 for the entire week, but the tea is something that's hard for me to put down. So I've had to go half and half now, or just the unsweet with a little bit of like a Splenda or that other sugar, stevia, whatever. And tea is hard to put down for me. It's just.
I have 3 drinks. I drink 2 mugs of coffee in the morning. I drink water all day, and I am going to have that glass of wine, and it's coming up pretty soon.
It's about that time as we get into happy hour too, no doubt. Love the conversations every time we come back on. Can't wait to get to Nashville in 22 for CRS and hopefully for the Tour of the Opry there. An American classic. Indeed, she is country music royalty on the Grand Ole Opry for over 50 years. Hey, congratulations on the great career and more to come. She's not slowing down. Miss Jeannie Seely, always appreciate our time and the great conversation. Thanks so much for being on.
Thank you for inviting me. Love y'all. Bye-bye. Stay safe, everybody.
Ms. Jeannie Seely on the podcast. Of course, next week, some great shows here, again, presented by Toir Guitars and Bangtail Whiskey. Right now, a word from Bangtail Whiskey as we get out of here. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And you can get some of that right now at bangtail.com or, of course, the Easy Liquor app. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great weekend here from the Backstage Pass. Y'all take care.